tell me about a recent experience you've had with a medical community and how it was either a good or bad experience.
Can I name the name of the medical people who are involved, or just,
Sure.
okay. Well, I recently went in for a blood test for an annual physical. When I went in there, the physical went fine, or the blood testing went fine, and I left, and within 2 hours, they called my home looking for me. They wanted me to come back. So, not knowing what was going on, my wife went with me, because it sounded like something out of the ordinary, and it might be serious. So I went back to the doctor's office where the lab work was done. The doctor came in and looked at me and he says, "Well, you look all right, but by looking at your blood test, it doesn't jive with the way you're looking." And I said, "Well, what's the problem?" And he said, "Well, the hemoglobin part of the test showed that there was a dramatic drop in all of the categories relating to your blood, which could be extremely serious. In fact, I'm going to make an appointment with you to go to the clinic, and they can then run more tests and tell you what the actual problem might be." He said it might be something as simple as a low deficiency in iron, or it could be something more, but we need to find out. So he made an appointment for me, but the appointment was not, this was taken on the interview was taken, or the conversation with him was done on a Tuesday. He couldn't get me into a hematologist until Friday, which meant for 3 days I got to try and contemplate just what the problem was. So we left, excuse me, and the wife and I discussed it, and my first thought was there's something wrong, and based on the way he was talking, I think I might have leukemia, which was startling to both of us because I felt fine. And he mentioned that I looked pretty good considering the results of my blood test. But on the other hand, he didn't offer to run another blood test. He just let me go. So after almost putting a new will out there and making arrangements for my demise, Friday finally got around and I went in to see the hematologist. When I went in, the lady doctor there, she said, "You do know this is a cancer treatment facility, don't you?" And I said, "Well, I wasn't told that, but I realized it before I walked through your office door because it says it right on the door." And I said, that came as somewhat of a shock. But I had been anticipating something. She said, "Well, looking at you kind of come as a shock too, because I saw the report you had on your blood test, and I was actually, before I opened the door to come in here, started running through a series of things that I knew I was going to have to do based upon your lab report. And that would be get you admitted into the hospital, set you up for a bone marrow diagnosis to check what my bone marrow was going to be. And then there's a few other things I had to get started. But when I come in, you didn't match up with the profile that I'm getting off the blood test. So we both come up almost instantly. I guess I verbalized it first. I said, "You think we ought to get another blood test?" She said, "Absolutely. We're not doing anything now until we get another blood test. We do it down on the first floor, and I'm going to have you go down, get the blood test." She said, "I'm going to be here for several more hours, but I assure you I won't leave until I get the results of it. You can go ahead and go home, and I'll notify you when you get back." So I stopped for lunch, went on to the house, got home, and she called. She said, Mr. Shirley, I want you to know your blood test is absolutely normal. And I apologize for the clinic and the people here for putting you through this, but you just rest assured that there's nothing wrong with your blood. So my reaction then was, why did my primary care doctor allow me to go 3 days? Because even if he thought I wasn't smart enough to know what it was, that a couple questions to people I know would have absolutely verified, yes, you've got leukemia. With a blood test coming back like that, you are deathly ill. So I'm pretty concerned about my doctor and about the performance they did. While I was having my blood withdrawn, they had to fill up 4 vials. And the young lady who was taking my blood, everything seemed to be going fine, and all of a sudden on the last vial she said, oops.
It's
And,
never a good sign in a medical office.
right, you know, that's something that raises your eyebrows and your ears get very tuned into what's going on. I said, what's the matter? She said, oh, I just got a little problem here, but I think this will be all right. I was afraid I was going to get a short draw. Well, I had no idea what a short draw was. And I'd never heard the term short draw before in my life. So when I got to see the hematologist after a few minutes of talking said, well, I think the mistake might have come from a short draw. And I asked her, I said, now that's the second time I've heard that. What do you mean by a short draw? She says, that comes from when you don't get enough blood in the vial to do the test that's required. And it will come up with a false reading. And I said, well, wouldn't have that then prompted my doctor to recheck it? And she said, in most cases, yes. So that incident alone has really brought me down on what kind of diagnosis I get and from the people I get it from.
So what were some of the good things that your medical professionals did that you enjoyed, and what were some of the bad things that they could, improve upon?
Well, the bad thing they could have improved upon was immediately when they called me back, before they even said anything about you've got an error or you have real bad blood or you're in danger here. We just immediately say, Mr. Shirley, would you mind if we do a redraw on your blood? Then we need to get it checked because some readings aren't quite right. We feel that we need to double check this. And I would have been more than willing to say, yes, let's find out what it is, at which time they could have checked it and then said, well, there was a mistake made somewhere down the line, but there's no problem. You're fine. Instead of letting me dwell on this for 3 days, because the longer you think about something like that and thinking of the consequences, the worse it gets in your mind.
And the more ideas you have for what it could be.
Right. I'm ready to sell one of my cars and make things good for my soon-to-be widow. And she said, no, let's not go there yet. And I said, well, I gotta be thinking about it. So a little correction up front would have helped. The good part about it, though, was the lady doctor that was a hematologist come in with a smile from ear to ear. And had I really been sick, it would have been nice to see that smile. And her approach to the whole thing was was wonderful. So if I ever do have this problem again, I know the doctor I want to see first thing, and that would be her, because of her attitude toward me and the possibility of something being wrong. So that was good out of that. But overall, it just makes me feel a little more guess, wanting to be more cautious
Mhm.
with what I get from the medical community in the future.
Okay.
But when it come time for the doctor to talk to me, that's where the communication seemed to really fail.
Okay.
And had that not happened, I would have had a lot more confidence in him in the future going down the road.
Mhm.
As a result, I'll probably be changing doctors.
Well, thank you for doing this interview with me.
Okay, well, appreciate you coming by.